Hey guys, today's video is going to be about the T6i, which is on the tripod right there, and the T6, which is in my hand right here. We're going to be talking about similarities, differences, little caveats to owning both of them, and then I'm going to, at the very end of this video, tell you which one of them is my favorite camera to shoot with out of the two of them. So, without any further ado, let's get right into the video. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about similarities. And if you've been shopping around a little bit, looking at these two cameras, you might be surprised at how many similarities they actually have. So we're going to start off with the most glaringly obvious one, that is the fact that they are both made by Canon. So that is a fantastic little feature. I mean, it's not even a feature, Canon just makes great cameras. So the autofocus on these two cameras is going to be fantastic compared to pretty much every other camera brand that you will find, and the color science in these, you don't even need to color grade if you don't want to, or color correct. You, most of the time, if you're shooting on a Canon camera, won't have to color correct or won't have to color grade your footage, which can be a huge time saver if you've been shooting a lot. Another key similarity between these two cameras is their sensor size, which is this guy right in here. This is the mirror, but it covers up the sensor, so it's about that big. The sensor in these two cameras is an ASPC sensor. An ASPC sensor is just a little bit smaller than an actual full frame sensor, which means that the images that you shoot on this, through whatever lens you shoot on, are going to be magnified 1.62 times, which is not bad, but if you're trying to get really wide angles, like if you want wide landscapes, that can hinder you a little bit. But if you're looking for wildlife photography, things like that, these can be amazing for that because they give you that little bit of extra zoom without you having to pay for that little bit of extra zoom out of a lens. These cameras both use the exact same lens mount, and that is the Canon EF-S or the Canon EF mount, which is helpful in this case if you already maybe have some Canon EF lenses from an older Rebel series camera, or if you're looking to buy them, Canon has some very good, cheaper options. Both of these cameras are capable of shooting at 1/4000th of a second shutter speed, which is incredibly fast, like way faster than you even need to stop a hummingbird's wings while it's flying. That is super fast, and you'll be able to shoot whatever action you need to shoot with a shutter speed like that. It also slows down to a whole 30-second exposure, which is long enough if you would like to shoot star photography or anything like that, any sort of long exposure really. 30 seconds is a very long time to expose your sensor. But if you do need to go further than that, you can use tools called accelerometers, or you can use shutter remotes to take longer photos on the bulb setting. Because on the bulb setting, it's going to shoot that photo for as long as you hold that button down. So if you need like a 5-hour long exposure, which is going to be really bright, so you're definitely going to want to make sure you have some serious ND filters on there for that, then you're going to want to have a shutter remote so that you can just flip that switch and have it go for the whole 5 hours that you need it to go for. They also both share an optical viewfinder, and this I've found tends to leave something to be desired, because with a mirrorless camera, when you have an electronic viewfinder, as you change your settings, like if you spin this wheel, you're going to see that change in your viewfinder right here. But on these two cameras, it's just a mirror that shines out the front, kind of like a periscope. So your image comes in, bounces up, bounces to your eye, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't show any of the changes that you make to your settings. So that being said, I would recommend for both of these cameras that you shoot using the screen, which is something you can do. It's just a little press of a button on each camera. It's the same button on each camera. It's right, you can see it right there, yep, right there. That's the button that you use to switch to display. It's black right now because the lens cap is on, but this button toggles that so you can look through here or look through here. And if you want to see what your settings look like as you're changing them, I would highly recommend using the screen. Which brings us to our first difference, and that is this screen right here. This screen is not articulate, which means that it doesn't move around. You can't flip this screen, you can't twist it, you can't turn it, you can't tilt it. It is right there only, it doesn't move. Also, this screen is not a touch screen, so you can touch it all you want, nothing happened. The screen on the T6i, on the other hand, is just about the exact opposite. So that screen comes out, you can turn it around, you can pull it out to the side so it's right here, you can turn it while it's out here, you can tilt it down, you can tilt it up, and it's an incredibly responsive touchscreen. So in my book, between the two of them, that's a point for the T6i. And while the sensors are the same size, they are not the same resolution. The sensor in here is 18 megapixels, which is pretty huge and is going to get you whatever you need as long as you're not trying to blow up your picture to like maybe like poster size. If you're going to stay below a poster size, you will not see a decrease in quality really in your 18 megapixels compared to the T6i's 24.2 megapixels, which is going to allow you to get those poster size prints, which is really actually probably even bigger than that without losing a lot of quality. So that can be really nice if you're trying to blow up your image, or if you're just trying to get like really clear, crisp images. This is going to take those, but they're going to be slightly less crisp than the ones out of the T6i. And like I said, not super noticeable before you get to about a poster size. So just off numbers alone, that is another point for the T6i, which brings us to weight. And this is the first time that this T6 is going to get a point. This comes in at only 1.07 ounces, while the T6i comes in at 1.7 ounces, which is almost a pound heavier, and you don't really feel like that sounds like a lot, but when that's hanging around your neck all day long for hours, you really start to feel that weight, and the 1 pound is a pretty significant difference over the almost 2 pounds that the T6i weighs. So, point for the T6. The T6 has an ISO range of 100 to 12,800, which is kind of a huge ISO range for a DSLR. If you're looking at mirrorless cameras, those can be massive, just absolutely massive. But for an entry-level DSLR, 100 to 12,800 is a pretty good range, and that's going to allow you to take pictures in some pretty low light. At those levels though, it is going to get pretty noisy, so it's really going to be a moment capture as opposed to like a professional looking photo. And the T6. The T6 shoots from 100 ISO to 25,600 ISO, which is an insane range. It doesn't come this way just factory settings, but if you go into the settings on your camera, you can change it to 25.6, which is just a massive range that you will never use because the camera shoots awful photos generally at 25.600, but you do have the option. So again, based on numbers alone, that's a point for the T6, even though I highly recommend you do not shoot at 25,600 ISO. So, now that we're through the picture differences, the picture quality differences, which in my opinion aren't too drastic, the pictures that come out of the T6 are very good. They're not quite to the level of the T6i, but for the price difference, if you're only going to be buying this camera for photos, I would highly recommend that you buy the T6 because it saves you that money and your photos are still going to be great coming out of this camera. Now we get into video, which is where the T6i really starts to shine over the T6. The T6, as you can see right here, has two switch options. It's got on and it's got off. And other than that, you got nothing. The T6i, on the other hand, as you can see right here, has a dedicated video mode on the switch, which is fantastic if you would like to be able to use your dial still to change your settings in your video. Because on the T6, as it is a dial option to shoot video, you're going to struggle to change your settings in quick and easy ways like you don't struggle to do on the T6i. So point to the T6i for having a better video system. On the other hand though, they both only shoot 1080p. They don't shoot 4K, and neither of them shoot true slow-mo. They do shoot HD 60 frames per second, but that's only about half speed, and most of the slow motion that you see that looks really good and smooth is going to be 120 frames per second, which these cameras cannot even touch. And you did hear me correctly, 60 frames per second at only 720p, which is going to look really bad on a computer monitor or a television screen, but it can be kind of passable if you're viewing only on phones. Also, the articulating touchscreen that we mentioned on the T6i earlier that this camera, the T6, does not have, is going to be a huge boon here while you're shooting video, because you can touch to select focus. So if there's something on your screen that you want to focus on, you simply just touch it, and then your camera will focus on that automatically. With this, you've got to do your manual focus, or you've got to rely on the lens and camera's autofocus to just choose what it thinks you want to focus on. So again, point to the T6i. If you'd like to see a full comprehensive video about the video capabilities of each of these cameras, where I go through and take a lot of clips and really like bring them out and show you like the real world applications, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see a similar one with photos, where I don't just show you a couple studio photos, I show you some real world out and about, maybe some portraits with these two cameras, with probably using the same lens, just so that you can see the differences and the similarities, and it's as true a test as we possibly can do. Let me know that in the comments below as well, and I will be sure to make those videos for you if you want to see them. So now we get to my opinion about these cameras. Which one do I use, which one do I prefer, and why? If you're buying these cameras or this camera for only photos and you have no interest whatsoever in video, the T6 is a fantastic choice for you. You're going to save a little bit of money, which you can put toward lenses or anything else, and you're going to get a great photo camera. But if you're looking for video at all, if you might be interested in video, if you think you might become interested in video, get the T6i. It is so worth the price jump for those video capabilities if you're looking to shoot video, that I would struggle to not recommend it to any new video shooter. So my favorite of these two cameras has to be that T6i, if only because of the video capabilities that it has, because I personally shoot a lot more video than I do photos. If you are looking to purchase either of these cameras, if this video has helped you make a decision, or if you want to just look a little bit further into them, there are links to where you can find these two cameras in the description below, as well as a couple lenses that you might want to consider starting with for both photo and video. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video. I hope it helped clarify things for you. If it did, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next one.